found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
What's up, Jeff?
Man, doing good. How about you?
Doing well, man. And thank you for joining us tonight. We are the Rhythm Section Podcast, where we talk to musicians, Memphis music pillars and leaders,
General degenerates,
and play hack gimmick sounds.
Yes, we do.
That's what we do. So we are brought to you by SRP Studios, recorded to you from Hernando, Mississippi, everybody.
Yeah, man.
And Shelby Row Productions.com. Go check it out. But now, Jeff, let's talk about where we can be found.
YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple. Please go to YouTube and watch us. Use that link tree to get you there.
Yes, the link tree in the description will take you to all those platforms. And you know what? At the very least, go to our channel and subscribe. If you really just prefer to listen only or watch on Facebook, hey, as long as they're engaging and as long as you enjoy the show, we're happy. But yeah, the YouTube channels we're always pushing. But then that's a way to provide and support us because it's a monetized channel. And another way to support us is through Patreon.
Yep.
Click that Patreon link in the description, and it will take you to what's called a tip jar, $1 a month, $12 a year. And it goes a long way, trust us. And we've had a good run. Yeah. This is the first week where I don't have any new ones. Come on, what's going on? No, just kidding. You guys are stepping it up.
Yeah.
And what I'm probably going to do here very soon is then choose a moment in an intro to read them all again, right?
Yeah.
Right from top to bottom. So
absolutely.
But you guys are stepping up in a big way. It's not going unnoticed, and we do appreciate it. And as always, and I know this one because we're talking to David Flexer. I remember the interview.
Yeah,
we need parental advisory on this one.
Yes, we do.
So we definitely can, push that on you.
Right,
parental advisory. Well, right on, Jeff. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing great. We had a little Bruce Campbell from Army of Darkness right there at the intro. One of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
I think you sent me that sound a while back.
Yeah,
back when I used to get like a chain of emails with all these YouTube sounds.
Yeah, you'll get them again soon because we're probably running low.
We are running low.
Okay.
Yes, we got plenty of these though.
Yeah.
But so boy, we had a weekend.
Oh, it was crazy.
And as always, it's a week off from the actual weekend. But as we record this, it is what's today's date? February 19th. So
yeah.
You went to Connecticut with Danny Day to buy our Mustang.
Yeah, I did.
And I went to, I had a first. I went out by myself to go watch bands.
That's great.
Never happens. So that was a fun night. So
I got to buy more cars.
Right.
Make you go out more.
So, and I saw, I went to Neil's to see Amber McCain Band and Lafayette's to see 6 Feet Thunder. We'll get more into that. But
yeah,
I'm excited to hear about, first, David Flexer.
Yep.
We don't want to skip over that. That's the interview for today. David Flexer came in, another gentleman that I'd never met before, and I met through you. We talk about his bands like Thrust, Black Oak, Arkansas, Bad Apple. When we had a good talk, but we'll get more into that here in a few minutes. But Jeff, I'm dying to hear about your journey. Flying to Connecticut and driving back in a Mustang is crazy enough.
Yeah.
Doing it all with Danny Dan. So how did this...
Or Danny Day.
Danny... Oh, Jesus.
It has been a long weekend, but we're keeping that.
Oh, we don't edit this shit
we're
out.
keeping that for sure.
We keep the blemishes, y'all.
No, it was a crazy trip, man.
With Danny Dane?
Yeah, with Danny Dane.
Sorry, Danny. You know I love you, man.
I found this car that I wanted. It's a car that I had when I got married and sold that one off. Been looking for one for years. The timing was right. I found one it's a 90 Mustang, found one with low mileage. Asked the wife. She said, sure, get it. So I bought a plane ticket and I was going to fly and drive that thing home by myself. It's a 17-hour road trip from Connecticut back to here. And I thought about it for a couple of days, and I said, there's no way I'm doing this by myself. It would just suck.
For sure.
And I don't know many people who are fortunate enough to not have something to do during the day, during the week. But I thought of Danny. I said, like, hey, he's retired. He's probably bored.
He has the time.
Let's see if he wants to take a road trip. So he graciously agreed to do it. And it made the trip so much better just to have someone to talk to for the whole trip. We got a hotel room for Thursday night, got up Friday morning at 5:30 a.m. and hit the road, drove until 6:30 p.m. So a 13-hour day of nothing but driving.
Yuck.
That got us to Cookeville, just outside of Nash Vegas. And we got another room. And then Saturday morning, we got up and hit the road, and we're back in Memphis by about 10:30 a.m.
Yes, and then a few hours later, in the studio with me, we had 2 interviews this weekend.
Yeah.
We just interviewed Jennifer Grant, and to talk about Junior Grant. And then yesterday, we had David Kurtz and Billy Meharry in here.
That was great.
And some special stuff coming with their episodes, something new, a new feature, new deal that we're going to be pushing out there. Excited about, bringing that all to you and to not be so cryptic about it. But we got a cool thing in the works for David and Billy's episode. But so
we're both pretty tired.
You basically left Connecticut and be like, I need to be back in time to meet Derek in the studio for, what was it, 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Good job, sir.
I made it.
And you did a good job.
I think so.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, we had a good time.
With them. Well,
so how was yours? I mean, I know you went out and saw these bands and frequented these establishments.
I did. Well, you kind of called me out on social media a little bit. Like, all right, Derek.
Yeah.
The tour, you
got to step up.
Stepping it to you. It's time for you to represent. And I was like, yeah, but he's kind of right. And I already had the Amber McCain band put in the calendar just so I know. I wanted to go see them, more than just a few songs, because that's all I'd caught in before at one of the benefits for Amber Meharry.
Yep.
So I saw they were playing Neil's, which is one of my favorite places to see bands now.
Yeah.
And so I put it in the calendar. And then I knew you were out of town. And then also a factor is, my daughter's 14. I don't talk about this much, but I'm a single, full-time dad. And she had some sleepovers this weekend. So I was like, all right. Not that I really need to be around. Like, she's home alone right now, probably sleeping. She's 14. She takes care of herself. But when I know that she's either at her mom's or at a friend's house, I don't like being home alone now.
Sure. Yeah.
I have her 26 nights out of a month.
Yeah.
So when she's gone, I'm just like stir crazy. So that definitely motivated me too. And then I saw that 6 Feet Thunder was playing at Lafayette's at 10 and had already been it already was mentioned through Steve Owens that he was going to be there.
Right.
I was like, all right, dude, let's make a night of it.
Yeah. And to be honest, I didn't expect it. When I called you out, I figured, he's just going to stay home. Well, hey, good for you.
There's been opportunities before where in order to go out, I would have had to done it by myself. And then during the day, yes, I'm doing this. Then I get a little tired, but let's be honest, also a little transparent is, I've never been good with social anxiety, and going out by myself to go see bands never happens.
Right.
Never, imagine it barely ever used to happen when I would go out with a friend or something. Right. But when I quit drinking and all that stuff, I just wasn't my thing. But it was also, believe it or not, even though I'm comfortable in front of a microphone and a camera and pushing my face out there as much as I do, I'm actually a pretty shy guy. So,
well, it's great that we have started this podcast and we've met all these incredible people because we feel like we have so many more friends now than we had.
Absolutely.
So it's easy for you to go out and see other people. And if I'm not here, it doesn't have to be the Derek and Jeff show. We can go out solo and meet all the other great people that we hang out with now and do our thing.
It is. It definitely makes me feel more comfortable. So that's why I'm looking straight at the camera, talking to the audience here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just the love you give us in this podcast has helped with my confidence.
Yeah.
And you guys are very accepting. And it does feel good. I feel more comfortable because even if, I mean, not saying that I feel more comfortable when people approach me, but when I walk in now, I see, whether it's Neil's, Hadley's,
right,
or any of these places, they're familiar faces now, people that I know and hang out with now. And so let me get into the people I met.
Well, and ladies, don't forget, he did say he's single.
That's right.
So
single.
We're working that angle too.
Yeah, and that's a whole other story. That's getting old too. But building a business, raising a kid, been busy. But so my first stop was Neil's, again, to see the Amber McCain band, and they crushed it. I'm becoming a huge fan. The rhythm section is so incredible in that band. And it was just a joy to be able to sit back, and I just sat by myself and was comfortable. And because it wasn't a benefit, it was a little lighter, a little thinner.
Right.
So I was really able to just get a table.
Cool.
There was no issue there. And I was able to sit back and just relax and enjoy the night. Yeah. So then I stepped outside to get some air, and right around the same time, Bruce Key was walking out. And I just waved him down and said, "Hey, man, y'all sound good." And then he recognized me, and then we just started talking.
Sure.
It was really cool. Really nice guy. Great player if you haven't seen Amber McCain band. But we had a great chat. And again,
Bruce has original music too.
Yes. And as we record this, he was posting yesterday about an acoustic original thing he did somewhere in Arlington. Yeah. So Bruce, great meeting you. Thank you. And you were kind and generous with your time. And it was awesome. So then I did bump into Tony Meharry awkwardly in the men's room.
Okay.
As I'm walking in, he's coming from the urinal heading to the sink. "Hey, man, what's going on?" "Good, man." That was it. So that was me catching up with Tony Meharry. And then,
all you had to say to get his attention was that Joe Biden is awesome. That dude would have stopped, turned around, looked at you, and thought you were an idiot.
Yeah. He would have punched me in the face or something, right?
Probably.
So that was good fun. And then I had made a post saying I was there, and that stop number 2 was going to be Lafayette's for 6 Feet Thunder. And then who texts me is Steve Owens. "I got a seat for you."
Awesome.
So he already kind of knew I was interested, but then when he saw that, he knew that I meant it. So, so sure enough, he saved a seat for me. So
cool.
That was great. Again, that makes me more comfortable to go out.
Sure.
To know that I was going to sit with some friends. Right. So Steve and Katrina saved a seat for me right in front. And it was fun. As soon as I got there, we just started chilling, and 6 Feet Thunder is incredible. And that room is got that big loudness to it.
Right.
So it was cool to hear them full throttle. Hung out with Sean Few outside during a set break and got to meet his wife, Carrie.
Yep.
She was pleasant. Nice meeting you, Carrie. Seth.
We're gonna have
Kuykendall.
We're gonna have to ask Seth the next time we see him.
So Seth,
how do you pronounce your last name?
We're going with Kuykendall.
I say Kuykendall. He says Kuykendall.
Tomato.
Who knows?
So it was cool catching up with you. It's always brief. A few words last night or the 2 nights ago. We were had a little more time to catch up and get to know you. You're awesome. I can't wait to have you in here. It's hard to book everybody. But
we're working on it.
Yeah. So, and then I want to thank Josh, not Josh. I want to thank Josh Haynes.
Okay.
I wrote it down as Josh Few.
Oh,
what is wrong with me?
I don't know.
I mean,
Sean Haynes.
Thank you, Josh Haynes, for giving me a shout out at Lafayette's, and it's always cool. Yeah, it's great. He said Derek McCod.
Oh,
so I want to pick on him a little bit, even though I'm totally botching Seth's last name.
You can't say anything. You just screwed up their names.
Yeah. So it's Michaud, and I know why no one gets that because it's spelled Michaud.
Yeah,
I get McCod.
I never thought
Michaud.
I never thought those. I always thought Michaud. That was the way I saw it.
Yeah, that D screws everybody up.
And then I screwed your name up in the very first episode I think we did of this podcast. So,
I had to sit my daughter down because there was a moment where her last name switched. And I was like, Skylar, there's not a whole lot of guarantees in life. but I can guarantee you now, for the rest of your life, your last name is going to be mispronounced.
Right.
Just prepare yourself.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, Daddy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Dave Flexer.
David Flexer.
Let's
So
talk
again,
about
thank you for anyone that I met and I mentioned.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to keep track of who I meet at the very least, so I know what to talk about. But
Sure.
thank you. I had a great time. And as we record this, it's the day of the what's it called again? The cross.
Kitchen in the Cross at Neil's 3 to 9.
Yeah.
It's already a little past that start time, but you and I are finishing up here and heading straight over.
So by the time you're watching this, it's over with. And then, of course, we're going to talk about our time there. So,
Yep.
You know, the timeline continuum, things are not as current as we'd love them to be, but you will hear about it. All right. So, yes, we got David Flexer again, someone that I didn't know until you brought him up. And so, as usual, you're the magic man behind these bookings and bringing these awesome people in. So I'm going to throw it to you and let's learn a little bit more about David Flexer.
Well, it's we talked to him about the bands he's been in. The band where I first was introduced to Dave Flexer was Thrust. That was a Memphis-based original band back in the late 80s. That was Tracy Rubel, David Flexer, Billy Little, who we've seen or I saw play at Lafayette's recently, and who am I leaving out? Ty Crook, who has now passed away, unfortunately. Ty was a lead singer and an incredible musician and songwriter.
Tracy Rubel was drums.
He was
for
at that
band,
time,
right?
correct. And so that's where I know David from. And he's also he did a stint with Black Oak, Arkansas. He had another band with Tracy Rubel, Bad Apple. And I believe Tracy was, I don't know if he was playing drums and singing in that band or if he was just the lead singer. I can't remember. But that was another great band that he was in. We talked to him about his biggest guitar influence and hero, which is Sean Lane. And that David Flexer is not the only guitar player to use that guy as a hero, because he was an unbelievable guitar player who was taken from us way too soon.
It's a theme lately.
Yeah.
Losing a lot of awesome people, young, relatively speaking, young.
Yeah. So David talked to us about meeting Sean and getting to know Sean and being fascinated by Sean. And look, when somebody as good as Dave Flexer says, I really looked up to that guy as a guitar player, you kind of pay attention, because David Flexer's no slouch.
Really?
He's a hell of a guitar player.
I wish I could go see him play.
Well, he's not. I don't think he's currently playing. He's been kind of out of the scene. He had a daughter to raise, and we may have touched on that during the interview, but I think
we did, yeah.
I think it's time for Dave Flexer, sir, to get his ass back out there and play live. And I'm sure a lot of people echo that sentiment.
Putting his ass on the spot. Let's do this. Well, awesome, man. Again, thank you for everyone that I got to see. Awesome bands, Amber McCain Band, 6 Feet Thunder. I'm glad you made it back safe from Connecticut.
Absolutely.
Thank God for Danny Dane.
Yeah.
Danny Day was awesome.
And as always, guys, thanks so much to everybody who is supporting this podcast and giving us the love, because we need it.
Yes, it is truly amazing, and we do appreciate it. So, but enough about us, Jeff.
We're out.
Let's send you to our interview. It's been a day.
With Dave Flexer.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
David Flexer.
What's up?
Welcome to the studio, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
It's good meeting you, too. Yeah, all right.
Awesome. Totally
so
we've met.
Yeah. Right, you rule.
Yeah.
So as so many of our guests, this is Jeff Ward booking.
Yep.
So I get to sit back and meet someone for the first time and hear a fresh story to me, and then I can lean on Jeff to ask all the right questions. So,
that's it.
But yeah, man, thanks for being here, making the trip down from you say Collierville, down all the way down here, Hernando.
The Ville, dude.
The Ville. So obviously, we're here to get your story and talk about your history and talk about music and the bands you played in and everything. But this is also just, man, we're chill. We're just having a good time.
That's
here,
awesome.
So.
I'm a fan of music. It's completely always been. And I'm a fan of people that love it and are actually spending their time helping the people.
Well, not only are you a fan of it, you are a huge, huge part of Memphis music.
It's awesome.
You have been since I was in high school, or right after high school.
1940, 1950.
Probably
Something
35.
like that. Yeah. So, you want me to start this
Go
off?
for it, brother. Yeah.
Do you want me to ask you a question, or do you have something right off the bat you'd like to discuss?
I can just give you a quick summary of
Come on.
where I came from and all that stuff.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll dive into the bands you've been in, and I want to definitely dive into the influences you've had
And the stories I have on all of you.
Lots of great stories. So go ahead, tell us all about it.
David Flexer, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Born in New York City and
Really? Okay.
lived in Connecticut for 18 years.
All right.
And Connecticut was amazing. And growing up on the East Coast like that, I saw bands like the Ramones at CBGB's and
Sweet.
saw Van Halen 1984 at Madison Square Garden, Rush,
Awesome.
Stanley Jordan and Alan Holdsworth doing cool jazz things. And I took guitar lessons from, I was 13. And I was like, I want to play guitar because everybody in my family plays piano.
Right.
My grandmother was a classical pianist.
Okay.
She actually toured with Leopold Stokowski when she was 16, which was amazing for everybody to listen to her. But whenever I played her concert Steinway, she'd say, ugh, oy vey, you're banging, you're just banging. And then my sister was amazing on piano. My mom was amazing. Both my uncles. My uncle Delta Joe Sanders is a musician in Memphis. He's got a few CDs out. He's amazing, amazing. And so I couldn't really do classical piano that well. So when I heard Randy Rhoads, a friend of mine from Connecticut said one day after school, said, check this out. This is Ozzy. And I was like, Ozzy, ooh, what? And I heard Randy Rhoads playing all the classical riffs on the electric guitar. And that was it. I was like, oh my God, how do I do that? And then I got a guitar for my 13th birthday, and I realized it wasn't as easy as just putting my hands on it. But fortunately, I got an amazing teacher by the name of Chris Rizzola, and that guy he's just amazing. He's absolutely brilliant. And
He was in New York?
He's in Connecticut, in Stamford, Connecticut.
The heroes make it look easy too.
Dude, he was so cool because every I came in, he's like, I need to show you theory. And the very first thing I said was, I just want to learn. I want to learn Mr. Crowley. I got to learn Mr. Crowley because that was the song I heard, and it just changed my life. So then that's what I did, and I practiced all that cool Ozzy stuff, and just practiced. And you ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh yeah,
of course.
Well, the dance scene that was me in the guitar contest or the talent show in my high school. You know, everybody was like, "Who's the weird guy with the long hair and has a Ozzy patch and a Doors patch and a Jimi Hendrix painted on the back of his shirt?"
So you were not shy. Oh,
I was. Well, no, I wasn't shy, but I wasn't. You know, all the girls that were friends of mine were like, "Dude, you're our friend." We don't have no idea. So I was like, "Damn it!" So I just sat there and practiced.
You're just a good friend.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Well, first impressions. I've known you forever, just not personally. It's been on Facebook, and it's been from watching you play and back in the day. But you are not an introvert. I can tell that already.
No, ADHD and dyslexia and just it being a Virgo.
There you go.
It's all these things that just make me go, "Hi."
Yeah.
But I'll just finish this real quick. So, I went on played in my talent show, and it was like standing ovation. Everybody was clapping. As soon as I did some Eddie taps, and I couldn't even play standing up at that point. I was just sitting down in the chair, trying to be cool.
You liked that feeling though, didn't you?
It was the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
It was the best feeling ever, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
The snake bit.
Well, seeing Eddie at Madison Square Garden doing his guitar solo, and just like, that was like ding, you know.
Yeah.
But then I started getting, hey, I mean, people love it. Like it's pretty cool.
All right.
And then I moved here when I drove here by myself.
What year?
85.
Okay.
And my grandmother lived here, so I used to visit my grandmother every summer as a kid, and which is important.
Okay.
I'll tell you what.
All right.
So I moved here, and only guy I know is named Todd Kirkpatrick. He lived on the street my grandmother did, Yorkshire, which is right near Neal's.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hey man, I'm having a party at my house, my uncle's house. You should come over and play your guitar." And I was like, "Cool." So I went over there, and I brought my guitar, and I started playing. And all of a sudden, I walk outside, and this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey man, my brother wants to kick your ass." And I was like, "What the hell?" And he goes, "He thinks you're trying to act too cool." And it was that was Chris Rubel telling me that Tracy wanted to beat my ass. And I was like, I went to Tracy. I was like, "Dude, look, I'm not a fighter. I'm a musician." And Tracy goes, "I'm a musician." And then right there we hooked up. We started playing, and Tracy was funny. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
So what band was that?
That we were called Power Streak, and it was a high school, Tracy's high school. And so Tracy played drums at that moment, and he took 55 gallon oil drums and put plywood over it and set this huge drum riser at his school. And I was like, borrowed my uncle's PA. I was like, I'm just going to use it just for guitar.
That's awesome.
And Kent Forson played with us, and Billy Little played later.
Yeah.
Billy's an amazing guy. And,
So you and the Rubles go way back.
way back. I mean, we had a band sign that was literally about 25 feet tall, and we leaned it against his house on Clearbrook, and his mom was not really too happy about that. But Tracy, I mean, amazing singer. Most people just know him as that, but amazing drummer.
No,
I mean,
I knew that.
He could play anything.
Yeah.
I mean, always just super talented. And his brother Chris was just there, always hanging out, always cool. And I knew Chris was a big fan. I had no idea Chris had it too.
Yeah.
Until I saw him play with Tracy. I was like, oh my God.
Yep. They're both booked to come in here in the
they're
future.
doing great. I love them to death.
Can't wait to talk to them too.
We are family, no doubt about it. So then we decided to progress forward, and we started band Thrust.
Yes, you did.
Which was
This is Jeff's band right here.
That was
his favorite one.
That's wild.
Huge influence on me.
It was huge. We played the Behalia Blowout. Do you remember that thing?
I do not.
It was a concert in Behalia.
Okay.
That Blue Oyster Cult headlined. And it was a fire choir, and every Memphis band there was.
Remember that?
It was all day long.
So how did Thrust? What's the genesis of Thrust? How did that start?
Hanging out, me and Tracy, and we went to this party, and there's this kid playing bass. He's playing Iron Maiden, Lost for Words on his little TKO 65 amp. What's up, Billy? And it was amazing. And I was like, dude, we got to play. Sure, let's play.
Right.
And then we saw Anthony Corder used to play around town with his friend Shane on drums and Mike McDonald on guitar. And we went to this party, and it was like this.
Yeah.
And we went in there and just had this amazing vibe where they said, sit in, and we played their instruments, and then they were mad because they said we took all their attention away. And their drummer played so hard his hands hurt.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was amazing. So we had that inspiration. Then Ty Crook.
Yep. How did that come about?
He had played with Tracy in a band called Skyline.
Okay.
Which I'm skipping over some bands. We're just going to get to the gist.
There's so many bands.
I understand.
There was a band called Scarlet
that
I used to play with that practiced on Second and Looney.
Okay. Which
was like right in the middle of everything crazy. And we used to have house parties, and Kip Pickler would sing, and Jody Rowe on bass, and Wayne Sessa on. But this guitarist Scott Hurd played, and Scott was just like Eddie Van Halen. I mean, oh my God, I was like, what? This guy's amazing. And then the people were telling me around here, we were going to cut that out when I go. Right.
We already talked about ADHD before we started, so it's all right.
So this is what happens.
This is exactly what happens. Okay.
So when you hear the squirrel sound, that means,
Here, take this out. I'm going to put these on again so I can have a little shield.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. So I am going to cut you off real quick. Let's get back to Ty.
Okay.
We're talking about Ty Crook.
Before Ty, there was the Sean Lane event.
Okay.
So I'll finish Ty. Let's see.
Sure.
With Ty, Ty played in a band called Skyline with Tracy.
Okay.
Some around, it was like you either go to the park, Shelby Farms Park, or you go to the hardware store and Shelby Drive, I think it was.
Sure.
Where everybody hung out and met Ty. And turned out he lived right down the street from my grandmother. He lived in the street over from Yorkshire. And Ty was just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was just one of the people on earth that you can do anything. You can drums, bass, sing, piano, guitar, and not just do it, but like his voice was so good that he attracted the attention of Gene Simmons, who ended up, shopping us, which is a whole nother thing we'll get to.
Yeah, we don't want to skim over that one.
And I want to say real quick for those of you that are listening that may not be a part of the Memphis music scene, Ty Crook, he's no longer with us. Rest in peace, Ty. We love you. We miss you.
It's very sad.
The guy was one of the most amazingly talented musicians I've ever seen in my life.
It truly was, and his voice was distinguishable.
Yes,
it was distinguishable.
Distinguishable.
It's very
distinguishable.
It was like someone you'd hear like Journey, you know it's him.
Yep.
You'd hear Queensryche, you know it's them. Led Zeppelin. You hear Ty Crook, you knew it was him.
You knew it.
And so when we started, first we were going to do a cover band. It was wild. We had a different guy on bass before Billy came and joined him. We did Rachel's. But we practiced in Ty's dad's studio he worked at, which was Shoe Productions.
Okay.
Which was right there at Hollywood and Broad.
Okay.
Well, I didn't even realize that Ty's dad had been an engineer at Stax. I mean, so we're sitting there and Jim Dickinson's coming in and helping us out. And I'm like, wow, that's wild. So we had Stax guys all around us.
That's great.
And it was great. And so we were in the studio. Andy Mayhall, who, one of the owners of Pro Show Audio, he was cutting his teeth on this huge board, mixing us. And And that's when I first, had one of my first big epiphanies, which was coming here from Connecticut. I was like, hey, I'm not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
And then put the headphones on and went to play. It was like, wait, this is not sounding the way I hear it in my head. Whoa. I got to go home and practice.
The studio will do that to you.
It
It will humble
that.
you quickly.
Sean Lane did that, but we'll get there in a minute.
So,
Sure.
Sidebar, what was it like moving from the north to the south? I can relate. I was Maine to Nashville.
I love Maine.
What was it like
I spent
for
every
you?
summer in Maine. Mount Katahdin, come on.
Yeah,
dude.
man.
Baxter State.
Maine's great.
Yeah.
But what was it like back in the 80s to move from Connecticut to Memphis?
Okay, growing up in Connecticut, everybody when you grow up in a town, everybody knows you. So
Mhm.
you're like, but when I came here, I had a Trans Am, I had long hair.
You
And it
look
was-
like a Trans Am guy.
But the place is, I mean, I could never get a date.
Did it-
The first girl I met here was like,
Did
hey,
it have the Firebird on the
it
hood?
did. It did.
Yeah.
It was red. It was pretty awesome. And it was wild because you ever seen the movie Heavy Metal?
A long time
The
ago.
cartoon,
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene where the guy's like, on Earth, I'm just so and so, but here I'm dork, And that's what it was when I came here. I was just surprised that there's a bunch of people wanting to play, and everybody didn't look at me like, you're Flexer. Ew.
Yeah.
They were like, dude, that's awesome. Let's
You
play.
found your people.
I did. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just being able to talk to people on that
Mhm.
level and knowing Tracy, because Tracy really, I mean, anything I could think of, he knew what to play. And he was so creative on the drums, and it was really cool. And having that positive vibe is just amazing.
Well, clearly the fact that you guys all formed Thrust and had the attention of someone like Gene Simmons
It was
speaks.
So let's talk about how that happened.
Speaks volumes about you guys as musicians. And yes, go ahead and
So
tell us
how do you
about
get
that.
on Gene Simmons' radar?
Well, we recorded a bunch of demos at Ty's dad's studio, and Ty's dad, Wayne Crook, who's also unfortunately passed away.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Wayne. That guy was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. And you could tell when he was grooving because he'd get one eye and he'd start going like this.
Yeah.
And that's when we figured out the drums and everything. When the crowd stops bouncing,
Yeah.
that means you're not jamming anymore.
Yeah.
But Ty's uncle managed Duro Pesch. Remember her? Like a German singer, had a big metal band out of New York, and she was from Germany, I think. Like she's like leader 4, but Duro Pesch.
Not ringing my bell.
Okay,
but-
well, anyway, Gene was, I guess, watching in the studio with him up in New York when she was doing her album. And,
Okay.
heard Thrust and heard a song called Love Comes Easy, which, by the way, Jimmy Jameson was good friends with Ty and came in and sang all the backups for us.
I knew
so
that.
did Tim Dills and Jimmy Bridges.
I did not know
And
that.
Tim Dills is an amazing guy. I've loved him since Dots and Johnny Gray and all.
Yeah.
He was our first interview
Love
published.
Tim. Is what a great guy and what a
Yes,
talent. He's so talented.
He's got billions of fans.
Well, he's an awesome dude. When you're an awesome dude, you get billions of fans.
Yeah.
And so we had Jimmy and Tim singing backups on the CD on the demo, and so did Jameson came in and sang. And my God, that guy.
So Love Comes Easy was the song that caught Gene's attention.
Right. And
How did it land in front of him? How did he hear it?
through Ty's uncle.
Okay.
Ty's uncle played it, and as soon as he heard it, he's like, "Oh my God!" So he called up. He got in touch with Ty's dad, and we heard the answer machine message at first. It was like, "This is Gene Simmons."
You're like, bullshit.
Not at first. I was like, "Oh my God!" And he's like, "We need to talk about possibly working with you guys. I think I can make you guys bigger than Led Zeppelin." and I was like, I remember exactly what I said. I got my pen. And I was like, "Woo! This is yeah."
Hell yeah.
And then after, we did a bunch more things with him, and he was shopping us to Chrysalis Records, but he wanted 100% publishing, 100% merchandising, 100% of pretty much everything. And I was like, wait,
Whoa.
how do we, wait,
Damn,
for like a
Gene.
It's a
long
very
time.
convenient deal for him.
Well, yeah, because he'd have to do, and the contract was a man of 1,000 faces incorporated, and it was literally like a small phone book. It was so thick, and I was like, what?
So what exactly were you guys supposed to get out of the thing?
Being able to say we work for Gene Simmons.
And being put on the road. So
Yeah.
did he try to touch the tour? money?
Well, what happened was we were like, man, we can't sign this deal with him.
Yeah,
You know,
this
if he's interested in us, after about a year and a half, 2 years, the novelty of having Gene Simmons,
Sure.
we were thinking bigger than that. We're like, man, I'm going to get my mom a house. I don't want to be, living in mom's house.
It sounds like he made it impossible for you to earn any kind of living.
Yeah, but besides that, so we decided to go around him and shop to Chrysalis Records, which was amazing, except for Gene found out about it and went to the office went to Chrysalis Records the day we went and shopped them. And he's like, hey, so I'm working with this band. They're my band. And they were like, "Oh, well, we're not going to mess with you because you're Mr. Lawsuit."
And you guys technically weren't.
Right.
So
I think we signed something that wasn't like forever, but it was something that just
some kind of like holding
something. But anyway, that
non
it all went away when the band fizzled, which it fizzled when after, you work with, we used to practice 6 days a week thinking, if you can't do 6 days a week, we don't want to even jam with you.
It's your job,
It's
man.
ridiculous. I mean, we practiced in the place of Lauderdale, which is the Old Bell South building, which was insane. It was so crazy. It had about 20 band rooms in it. And
I remember that place.
it was huge. It's like the ceilings were huge, and we were in the basement, and it was like, whoa! But it was a cool vibe.
Did you sort of like not own the room, but it was your room?
Yeah. But in a building with like about 20 different rooms.
Yeah. So you can keep your stuff set up. You had your space.
Yeah, and the human radio's here, and driving south over here, and
I remember it.
And it was awesome. Serpentine's right next to us, and it was a great vibe.
So I'm gonna ask you a question that's probably impossible to answer, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Nice.
Use your
nice setup.
Your psychic powers to tell us what you think might have happened with the Gene Simmons situation had the whole 90s thing not happened.
Well, that's...
Is that impossible?
No, Kurt Cobain came in and pretty much, said,
we know.
You guys want right.
Step aside.
Hey, but genius. I mean, if we would have stuck together, because that was when Roxy Blue got their deal, Torture got their deal first. Then Roxy Blue got their deal, and Rock City Angels was kicking it, and Eli Ball was in town doing everything, and it was just like.
Do you think you would have worked with Gene? Do you think you would have continued to try to forge some sort of an agreement that you could all live with? Or do you think you'd have said, sorry, man, that's impossible?
I don't think you can say, sorry, it's impossible to Gene, because he will say words to people. If he just tells them, hey, I'll see if you sign him. Yeah. Even if it's baloney.
You had no choice.
People are like, well, it's not worth it, the hassle. There's too many other bands.
Yeah.
But then, that's what happened. 92 is when Kurt Cobain came out, and everybody's like, oh my God, put the Aquanet away, you idiots. We're going to go to Attitude Guitars and ripped up things, and check us out. This is Seattle. And it was amazing.
Go buy some flannel shirts.
Soundgarden, then all of a sudden the girls stopped, doing themselves up, and the guys were like, check it out. I haven't showered in 2 weeks. It's amazing.
It went the other way.
Yeah.
Totally the other way.
And everything was about, everyone was angry.
Not only was there no hairspray and no lipstick, it stank.
But right before that, Ty's dad said, hey, so I got an idea. Why don't you leave Thrust, and we'll send you this band called Child's Play in Baltimore. And they need a singer, and they're already signed, and you can go do this. And we're talking about, we'd spent years in the band room 6 days a week for years, always practicing. So when that happened, it was quite a surprise. Yeah. And I remember Billy's like, Billy was, 6'1". You didn't want to make Billy upset.
Right.
And it was just a bummer. It was like, man, we love you. And he's like, I love you guys too. But, my dad's doing this. So we said, okay, fine. And Tracy goes, that's cool, because I want to sing them. And so we did Mary Jane Freeze.
I remember Mary Jane Freeze.
Right. And Tracy first was on behind the kit and singing.
Yep.
And because his voice was killer. I was like, man, that's awesome. It's like he's evolving into like a Black Crowes, Led Zeppelin with this real soul, because Tracy's and Chris's dad, Tommy Rubel, had the real deal. He was,
I remember seeing Mary Jane Freeze live one time. I don't remember where it was, because that was my party era, and I can't.
It was either Night Moves, or it was Rascals, or it was Stage Stop.
Could have been either one.
Yeah,
I frequented all those places.
We did that, and that was cool, and we did it for a while, and we recorded John Roth, engineered a tape for us, and we loved it. We recorded in Jim Dandy's house, actually.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and but then John called me up and said, "Hey man, I'm gonna go play with Winger, and I need you to take my place in Black Oak, Arkansas."
Oh, yeah.
So I was like,
and you said, "Damn it, John, don't leave."
No, I said, wait a minute. I said, really? He goes, yeah, you got a gig coming up. There's another guitarist, Buddy Church. He's pretty good. You'll like him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. He goes, you can do it, dude. No problem. You can do it. So it's like, okay. And shit or get off the pot moment.
Right.
Because it was 17 songs in like a week I had learned.
Okay.
And it was just going to be a small gig, the first one, but it wasn't small. It was about, 14,000 people. And I was like, oh my God. But I remember on the tour bus I joined Jim. Yep. Tracy and Billy were cool. I was like, man, cool. Ty left us. the Gene thing was such a bummer after that.
Yeah.
After telling everybody we're sorry, dude,
Right.
mansions, sports
Right.
cars,
Sure.
MTV, cash everywhere. We got this, man.
Yeah.
Called all my friends, that I grew up with that all graduated and they're like in their exclusive colleges and their second vacation home going, yes, Simon Gene Simmons is amazing.
Well, dude, I don't know if you guys knew it being in your circle that you were in, but there was a huge buzz around the entire town. I was nobody. I was not a musician, and I knew about the Gene Simmons thing. So it was everywhere.
There was a few people that didn't believe
it.
us. Some people didn't. It was just too good to be true. But when they came to town, here's Gene walking around with Billy. They're like, "What's happening?" And he told us, And I'll tell you a funny moment. Here's an exclusive behind the scenes peek. Is first time we met Gene in person is when they came in '91, and we talked on the phone. Well, he'd been talking to Wayne and Ty. And so we're all backstage, and then Paul walks out. And Gene, I guess Ty was a big Kiss fan, ran up to Paul and was like, oh my God, dude, Paul and Ty Crook, man. Gene's, we're working with Gene, it's going to be incredible. And Paul looked at him and said, oh, great, another Gene guy. And turned around and walked off. And it was like, I was like, whoa.
That's not good.
I was like, that's kind of wild.
That's not a good sign.
This was during the Kiss era of Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick.
Yes, because this is also when they came with Slaughter.
That, in my opinion, is the only era that Kiss ever existed in. Most people think I'm crazy.
Because of Bruce Kulick?
Because of Bruce and Eric.
Bruce is a really good dude.
Those were my dudes. Loved them.
I was never a huge Kiss fan, only because I didn't listen to him. But I was like, dude, Ozzy and Yngwie and Randy.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So let's not skim over Black Oak, Arkansas.
No, not at all.
Let's talk about that. Like, what was that experience like? How long did you play with them?
Black Oak, Arkansas was an experience. It was an experience like you'd never even imagined. Jim, we knew Jim he'd always come to like Rascals and see us play. And he's always like, I like to come see you guys play because there's always girls around. It's awesome. And Jim's a great, he's a legend, Right. Absolute legend, period. And so nice, So, when I went and played with them, it was like basically the bus picked me up and we're on the way to the gig. And I'm like, okay. And then here's Buddy Church, just a virtuoso beyond belief,
Yep.
Such a virtuoso, just playing everything. Okay, here's this chord. I'm like, whoa, wait, let's go back to that very first chord. What is that? And then I'm learning all the songs on the bus, and they're like, "Hey, dude, party down." I'm like, I can't. I gotta focus. They're like, you got this. I was like, don't tell me I got it. Hold on. And it worked out great. And I was on the bus with them for about 3 years on that. And it was amazing. There was stories. Let me tell you stories. Woo!
I can only
amazing.
imagine.
Sturgis.
Probably can't tell them all.
Some of them, like Jim was like, hey, don't tell him you're from Connecticut.
Was this the most traveling at this point?
Absolutely.
Up to this point, the most touring
and
you've
plus
done?
had people that were just, riders and hotels and cars back and forth.
Was he on a label? Was the band on any kind of label?
He'd been on so many labels.
Or was at that point he could sell tickets just because based on his name?
He was like the biker messiah.
And he could hit the road.
We'd go to Sturgis and be like, and we played Sturgis, and all of a sudden after the show, there'd be these guys like 7 feet tall come to me, hey man, it's pretty good. You know what? My old lady digs you. I told her she could have you for a night. And I'm like, oh my God.
Friends for life.
And no, he's like this. And she's like, and I was like, oh my God, this is not, wait, what?
It sounds like a place we played last year, doesn't it, Jeff?
I went up to Jim and was like, Jim, he's laughing at me, laughing.
Flex. What was the name of that place again? Hog Rock?
I can't even think right now.
Hog Rock.
It's got me dying. Yeah, Hog Rock.
Hog Rock?
You familiar with Hog Rock?
It was serious stuff.
Wow. No, but I'll tell you what happened though in that particular instance is Jim said, you need to tell him you got the clap or something. And then I was like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't wait this because I got the clap. He goes, man, I appreciate you telling me that. And I think about that still sometimes going, what would have happened if he would have said, it's okay, she's got it too. Or something like that. Because this guy was huge.
You'd have been screwed in more ways than one.
These people have been up for a few days at least. And there's like lots of them. So
a lot of party favors.
That was amazing. I loved it. I remember the first night playing and I was like, they're like, here, give it the guitar set or guitar check. I was like, man, I better carry these off stage, just make it off my stands and put them in the bus to make sure that nothing happened to them. And I walked right off the stage and fell about 6 feet in the mud and was like, So that was a big lesson learned. And Jim, the stories I heard from Ricky Lee and Jim and Buddy and Artie Wilson and Johnny Corbell on drums. Johnny's a brilliant drummer. We're still super good friends to the day.
Awesome.
And the stories were just amazing. I mean, everything was like they knew everybody. Everybody knew them. People would have
all from the 60s, right?
we'd have people on Motley Crue show up on the bus, and be like, "Dude, Jim Dandy." I'm like, or one day we're playing in Virginia Beach, and I come on, and Waylon Jennings is there with Jim, and
Holy crap.
just jamming, and like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I'm like,
You're like, hey, Waylon,
wow,
what's up, man?
That happened all the time.
What's up, Mr. Jennings?
know.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, we can discuss things off the microphone. But I was like,
you and I, sir, are going to converse a lot.
I was like, oh my god, what legend?
Yeah,
legend
for sure. Well, all right, legend makes me want to make this transition.
Dun, 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 dun,
because I know this guy is
changed my life. He changed my life.
Impacted
changed
you.
my life.
Sean Lane.
Beyond belief. I mean, just more than like a religious experience.
Sure.
Truly, like meeting Jesus, literally, but not Jesus, but just.
I never met him.
A local guitar player.
So I move here.
Take it away.
And I'm like, I play guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out with first time I ever been in a bar. Went to like Yosemite Sam's. I was like, dude, I'm 18, and there's a guy. Everybody's been hearing, man. The greatest guitarist ever lived in the world lives in Memphis. I was like, sure.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy's the best ever. I was like, sure he is.
Yeah.
You guys don't understand. I just go to New York City and see everybody. I'm sure he's good, but come on, give me a break. I've seen a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I go up in the high roller too. I'm 18. Boing, and all of a sudden I hear this sound, and I'm just like, what? And it just, I've never seen anybody, never heard anybody, never even imagined possible the things that I was hearing and seeing. This guy just played, just beyond doing cover songs, but just turn them into just the most amazing guitar work ever. I mean, of anybody I'd ever seen, and I've seen everybody. I mean, and it just was like everything got quiet around me, and I just was like,
right.
I think I might have been on a date, but it didn't make a difference because I was done.
Yeah.
And I was just, I mean, literally, I was like,
see you later.
And after a gig, I was like, man, I'm David. He's like, oh man, thanks, man. You want to come over to the house afterwards? And I was like, yeah. And I mean, his grandmother lived off of Westover, and which is a little small house, and went over there after the gig was about 12:31, and stayed there till like 7 a.m. And just Sean was just showing me stuff and playing, and I did that frequently, like several times a week for years, where I'd always go watch Sean play because it was just, literally when I'd watch Sean, after about 15, 20 minutes, my brain would become fatigued.
Yeah.
It was like, it was so much coming in. It was just like, whoa. And he'd show me stuff like, hey, check this out. And I'm like, oh my God, wow. And he'd be like, and this is music here. And this was List's first pupil that actually was around when phonograph was invented. Check out this piano piece. This is great. And check out the Chopin, because Sean had also the largest classical record collection anywhere. I mean, it's 78s. Ones were made out of wax when the late 1800s. They were just brilliant, and my brain expanded so much that the only analogy I can say is that meeting Sean would be the equivalent of me being a caveman back in prehistoric times, and a guy came down in a spaceship, picked me up, showed me the entire universe and all electronics and everything, and then brought me back to Earth, and that's about the equivalent of that.
And they were like, what was that?
But after the first time I met Sean, and then went over to his house a few times, it was great. Then I didn't see him for a few months, and then In Cahoots was a bar, and they had a guitar contest, and I was like, I'm fearless. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
Let them do it. And Sean was a judge, and I was like, oh my God. Oh. And I was like, to play in front of the master is going to be weird.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm just going to give it my all. And if I can't play that great, I'm at least going to have a good stage presence and throw my guitar on the ground and simulate having...
Get a swing in. Just get a swing
So
in.
I was doing it, and I remember after the contest, I was like, man, what'd you think, Sean? He goes, well, you were the fastest. And I was like, yeah. He was so polite. He wouldn't just say, it's horrible. But
Right.
he said, you're the fastest. I was like, that's all.
That's all you needed to hear, man. That made you
but lead singers didn't like that, because then I was like, I was going through the metamorphosis about 5 years of
speeding everything up.
So you said you were 18 at the time you met him?
Yeah.
Do you know how old he was at the time?
Sean was 4 years older than me, 22.
4 years older. Okay.
Yeah, and he would just give me cassette. Every night I'd go to his house, he'd burn me cassettes of everything he would show me, and it was just all these tapes, and I still have them all, because Sean was just and the nicest and the smartest person.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I'd bring him stuff that, ever heard of this? He's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he'd play it beyond perfect. I mean,
Right.
And then go, that's kind of slow. It's the way Chopin played it was like this.
Right.
And I was like, because he'd play either piano or his guitar or his acoustic or his electric in this room in his grandma's house. And she was amazing. And so Sean, one time he says, I used to give him rides to like the library because he would get like literally 10 to 15 library books at a time and read them in 2 or 3 days. And not only read them thoroughly, know where the authors came from, where, the countries that supported.
Just like a photographic memory type.
But then he did this thing. It's hard to even imagine. A pen in one hand, pen in another hand, wrote 2 completely different things at the same time.
Yeah,
that's just a gift.
That's something beyond. I mean, it's like,
and that explains his guitar
beyond
skills.
And piano. I mean, piano just.
If he was a drummer, he probably would have been.
He did play drums.
Was he ambidextrous?
He did everything.
Like Carter Buford from
Absolutely.
Dave Matthews, just totally
Bill Buford,
separate down the middle.
Buford from Yes. I mean, like Dave Weckl, everything. Just everything.
That's awesome.
And it was amazing. And I just remember thinking, wow. So the equivalent of just being around that raises your game.
Yeah.
So pardon my ignorance because I don't know this gentleman and the history of it. Was he known for? Was it just his name that you went to see, or was he part of different bands?
He's part of different bands and stuff, but he got to play the Highwaymen. Paid him to go record with them.
But he was a big name in town.
Yeah, he played with Black Oak Arkansas when he was 14.
Yeah,
and everybody,
also his prodigy too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And everybody that ever saw him knew right then and there. And he was so nice and humble that you'd see these be at Alfred's gig, seeing the Willies play.
Right.
And I love those guys, Rob, and just amazing people, good friends.
I'm guessing he's not with us anymore.
Unfortunately, he's not.
So
he had some health problems.
It's
when was that?
2013.
Okay.
13. Okay.
No, excuse me, I'm wrong. 2003. Sorry.
2003.
It's been
okay.
And it was just that was a whole nother. I mean, Sean used to come over the house, and his friend, good friend William Oliver. Hey, William, I love him to death. They were like always together, and because Sean would, he drove around at first in his little car. He came over to mine and Bill, the thrush practice once over at Billy's house.
Awesome.
And here comes Sean, and I was like recording him. I was like, man, hold on. Play that lick again. And I'd put a little cassette tape and he'd be like, man, don't record me, man. It's just so weird. I'm like, no, it's cool. And then I'd be like, click, and he'd be like, oh man, turn it off. But I've got all those tapes, of him just
amazing,
melting your face off. I mean, literally, when you see people like George Lynch and John McLaughlin and Joe Walsh and Billy Gibbons and all them going, Sean Lane's the greatest guitarist ever. Yeah. I mean, they come in town and they all knew of Sean,
So he's one of those guys, like the player's player.
They knew,
He was
he'd go to GIT
nationally.
and they were passing around tapes at the Guitar Institute.
People didn't know him like they knew Billy, but the Billy Gibbons of the world knew him. So like the player's player.
But the people knew him. But then people would see a cover band, all of a sudden there'd be some long hair guys you never seen before, and they were just like, or people would be like, oh man, this guy's gonna be so good. This is whatever. You know who I am. And then they'd see Sean and they'd be like, this is just that's stupid. That's stupid. And they couldn't handle the Sean Lane effect, which is what I termed it.
Sure.
Either you go home and you practice forever.
Right.
Or you go, screw this, and you turn your guitar into a coffee table.
Give up.
Yeah.
Well, knowing you just through social media and over the years, watching the things that you've posted, I knew that was a topic we had to touch on. And it's amazing because I feel like I've interviewed Sean Lane.
No. Sean knew he was so smart. I mean, he knew everything beyond music.
Yeah.
Like, he knew about, we used to watch great movies. When he first got his deal with Warner Brothers, they built him a studio in his house and he didn't want to go anywhere. And I went over there. He's like, look at this. It's my laser disc. And he's got quadraphonic stereo speakers. And it's the first time I ever saw like Terminator. He goes, watch this. And the Terminator put his foot down.
Yeah.
Or in Jurassic Park, when the foot came down, all his aquariums would all do the ripples. It was like, this is amazing. He's like, check it out. And
so he had a record deal with Warner Brothers?
Yep.
And they built the studio in his house.
Yeah, he bought all the gear and put it in there because
that's pretty amazing.
That's throwing some weight around to be able to make that happen.
He did. I mean, he was just amazing. Sean was amazing.
That's great.
When the album came out, it was so different that they actually had a questionnaire with it. Like, what would you label this as? It's like, why label it? It's just amazing. It was just. He had an amazing drummer playing with him, Sean Rickman. That guy was. I mean, to them together was frightening.
Yeah.
And Barry Bayes on bass, which Barry's a great guy. He's a professor down at Delta State.
Okay.
And he's a great, amazing guy. And
So
there it is.
what's going on now? Like, you know,
But
do we
there-
want to bridge to the present?
There's
or-
a little bit more. There's a huge intersection. I'll just give you.
Sure.
So when you have me back, I'll go into the strings. And
Oh,
things
we're gonna have you back.
the strings and things years, which
Yeah.
is like that's when you meet everybody that you didn't know.
Sure.
Every musician comes in there. Everything, like oh my god, that was amazing. I was washing dishes. My girlfriend was pregnant with my daughter, and I was thinking this sucks. And Billy's like, dude, come to string things. We're coming. I was like, Billy, I'm making $650 an hour. I don't know if I can do that. She's gonna have a baby this year, and he's like, just come, David, come. And I went down there and met Dave Smith and all the guys, Nico, and just everybody that was anybody.
That's
They had
strings
all
and
the,
things.
yeah, they had all the gear. There was no mail order at that point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
No Guitar Center, none of that crap.
Right.
It was a legit.
And when I went there, immediately the guitar department did the most they ever did, because I was like, dude, more, less price, or less, full price. I'd rather do less price and sell more stuff, and it was easy. And it was like, check this out, dude. You want a record deal? Get this Marshall and this Les Paul right now. And they're like, okay. And then literally, or get a new like some crazy one piece of special wingy Babinga wood bass, and call Dave Smith and go, Dave, I got this killer like a Padula bass, and you need to check it out. And you come down, yep, I get it. And then like Isaac Hayes came in there, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's the voice of Chef!" And I was like, I was like, the voice of Chef. I was like, man, and I love Shaft and I love Chef, but to me, you're the Duke of New York. Dude.
Yeah.
Always gonna be the Duke.
Always.
And
Always.
then, like Joe Walsh came in there and he was like slapping people, slapping like cab
Slapping
drivers.
people.
The dude who played McFly, do you remember that? And
yeah.
He came in, he's like, "Hey man, okay, I just wrote this book on rat kitchen." Yeah.
That guy's an odd one.
Yeah, Steve I would come in. Woody Harrelson came in when they were filming People versus Larry Flint, and it's like, "Hey, why don't you come out to the movie set and hang out?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
So any celebrity or musician coming through town,
Every
they knew
one of them. Bob Seger's at Marta. I need some guitars. Can you bring them down? Yeah. Or Three Doors. Paul Ebersol produced at Ardent. All the Ardent guys would come in, string things, and get all their gear.
Mm-hmm.
So when Three Doors Down came in, they picked out all their gear, and they played some. And I looked at my buddy Kevin, my partner Kevin Williams, amazing guitarist, and me and him were like the duo. And I was like, man, these guys, they're good, but man, they're probably not going to do anything now. I don't see them doing well. And then it's like 25 or 30 million records later.
Yeah.
Zach Myers would come in when he was 10, his Zach and his dad, Fred, when
Zach Myers owns Rock House Live.
No, Zach Myers plays guitar with Shinedown.
Shinedown.
Well, who am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Zach Baer.
Zach Baer.
Zach Baer's amazing.
Wrong
dude, too.
Zach.
Sorry, Zach Myers.
Yeah. No, Zach's amazing. Zach, he would borrow guitars. He's like, can I just borrow that one, see if I want to buy it, which is fine. I mean, he had so many already.
Sure.
And he couldn't go in the bars and sit in with Homemade Flavor, which was Anthony Quarter and
Hal McCormick.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Hal, what's up, Hal?
Yeah, what's up, Hal?
I love Hal.
And Anthony.
So many names. Like, it's so rich here in Memphis.
Beyond belief.
So many
That's the one thing.
It's crazy.
As a total over, like, my epiphany was, you go anywhere else in the world and you say you're from Memphis, they find out you're from Memphis, it's like hallowed. It's like, Memphis, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
And then you come to Memphis and the people, they don't really kiss your butt, and they don't kiss your butt. So therefore, you don't get a big head here ever.
Right.
You have to play because,
Right.
like one day we're playing a Battle of the Bands as Thrust.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the man, and I see this little kid coming in before us, and the band before us, and he's got guitars in bags. And the guitar's bigger than him. And I was like, dude, that kid's like, how was he? 12? And it's Eric Gales, and Eric's just goes, all of a sudden he goes, woo! And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? Oh my, but I can't follow that. That's crazy. At the Cook Convention Center, they had those Battle of the Bands.
Oh, yeah. Remember it well.
Steve Ray Vaughan would come in town. Jim Gaines would come in all the time. He produced a few of Steve Ray Vaughan's records, and he was just as nice as could be. And another time, this guy's at the counter talking to Kevin, and he's like, he's with Pantera. And I was like, oh, dude, he must be the bass player. And this girl goes, that's Phil. He's the singer. And I was like,
sure.
Yeah.
Everybody came in there.
That's
everybody.
awesome.
It was amazing.
All right, I got one more topic I want to cover because
Lay it
I
on
know
me,
we're
my friend.
gonna run out of time, and we hate that because we hate to keep.
I have
these
so
things-
much more.
and you're coming back to tell it because
Look out, I'm coming back out to here, dude. No.
we tell everybody
It's hard to get a whole life story and a ton of awesome stories in 45 minutes.
in an hour. Yeah. But we've touched on every band that I wanted to touch on except for Bad Apple.
Bad Apple.
I want to talk about Bad Apple, who was in Bad Apple.
Bad Apple was really cool. Bad Apple was there's gaps we'll have to get because I'm telling you,
I get it.
Screaming Jesus was a special band with Todd Poole, one of the most talented guys around.
And we just interviewed Todd, and we will talk talk about that next time. I promise.
Next time, Todd. It's coming out.
Yep.
So Bad Apple was was me and Tracy.
Yep.
And we were after everything went wild. I came back from Black Oak. Actually, Tracy said, "Dude, come on, let's get some originals going." It was 1994, and I was like, "Okay." And no, excuse me, I'm trying to go to Screaming Jesus.
Okay.
Fast forward. It was me and Tracy and Todd Scott. Todd Scott is an amazing drummer.
Okay.
We worked together. All of us worked at Strings and Things.
Okay.
So they were talking, and Tracy would just walk around the store singing riffs, and Tracy just had something about some people click, some people don't.
Right.
You'll know in 3 minutes when you play with somebody if it's natural or if it's forced.
Yeah.
And Tracy was just always natural. And Todd Scott is a guy who worked back with Tracy and String Things. What an amazing drummer! Oh my God, that guy's amazing. Okay. He played with some other bands, and we were like, dude, we want you to play.
And this was 2000-ish?
Yeah, 99.
Okay.
And Matt Dees was on bass. And Matt was like, man, I just want to see how you guys sound. And me and Tracy were pretty confident at that time. Like, dude, check it out. We did these demos, just me and Tracy demos. And then Todd came in and Tracy came in and we recorded it. Sounds unreal. Kevin Houston produced us, and Jack Holder was in and out of his studio. Jack's amazing.
Okay.
Just a legend in his own right.
Rest in peace, Jack.
Man, there's no other place in the world that has the talent that this talent had.
Oh, absolutely.
And no other place. I don't care where you're from.
Yep.
They all know it. I mean, because everybody here.
I mean, I think there's 100 names in this episode.
Well,
it's awesome.
There's a reason when you asked me if I wanted to do this, it took me that long to say yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had that history here, and I know these people, and he knows more than I do for sure. And this is just awesome.
I'm grateful for it.
Dude, Jack Holder is just, beyond belief amazing. Just wow. I mean, one of the guys that's why after Sean, I never had an ego, and I never had ego before. I was just confident, but then I was just like,
oh, if you have a touch of ego and you run into somebody like that, it snuffs it out immediately.
Right. And you either go home and you go, this is stupid, or you just practice. But Jack, we produced our Bad Apple CD, and Tracy, we got a loan. We did it all ourselves, the first one, and it was cool. We liked it.
And where did you record it?
We recorded it. It started out at, oh my God, Sounds Unreal, basically, and then it moved to Jack's studio, which is. And we finished it there. Kevin Houston, amazing engineer, and Jack would come in and go, "Hey, dude, you should try and do this thing here and this thing here." And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And it went naturally. Kim Trammell played on two of the songs.
Okay.
We known Kimmy forever.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's just one of the most amazing drummers.
Yep.
A percussionist, because she's not just drums. She's everything and authentic to that.
If you hit it. She
did like timbali, she did congas, she did stuff that was amazing.
Awesome.
And so we recorded, and we're digging it. Yeah. And then it's a funny thing, because the song they started playing on the radio was a song called "Do What You Do," and then like 3 years later, Killebrew, a radio DJ from 92 Memphis, goes, "Hey man, so you guys still do What You Do to oh God, what the hell's her name? No." Mudvayne. I was like, no, why? He goes, man, listen to their song, "Do What You Do." It was like, that's the same melody. And it turns out that there's a relative that had somehow, probably subconsciously heard it, but there was no way it was. Yeah. You don't think of that kind of thing.
Sure.
Someone not "Do what you do, what you do." It was like, that's Tracy's deal, dude. That's wild.
Well, I had a span where I was MIA because I got married, had kids, and I was just completely out of the scene. And Bad Apple was part of that time, which I freaking hate now. But it's great that you're talking about it, bringing it back up, and I'm hoping there may be CDs laying around somewhere.
I'm going to get you one.
Yes,
I'm going to get you, because we did. There was the first part with Matt and Todd, and then Matt left to go do some other stuff, and then Gerard Jones, who's was playing in the band with Todd forever. He's like, dude, get G to play bass. I was like, cool. And then a good friend of mine, Garen Haddad, said, hey, why don't we go to Ardent? I'll take care of it. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And then we went to Ardent, and Matt Martone, who's amazing, he produced it, him and Ardent. And I'm like, wow, Ardent's amazing because that's where Zeppelin recorded. That's where,
so many.
Yeah, everybody,
Yeah.
back before
ZZ Top.
Before everybody had Pro Tools and could
Right.
do it at home.
Sure.
And so we did that, and that was really good. And then, 9/11 happened, and that was suck. And then my dad died, and it was just, I'd never felt that kind of that weight. And my daughter I had a daughter who I'd raised by myself when I got custody of her. And she'd go to shows with me at 4 or 5 years old, go to practices with little earplugs and do crayons.
Sure.
And I just became a little introverted because it was like, man, Dad's dead.
And what's your daughter's name?
Jordan Flexer.
Okay.
That's when I knew my life had purpose.
Sure.
Sure. And
we could do a whole episode on that. Similar story
so
here.
me and the guy, the band that me and Tracy started, and that depression was the first time I ever felt depressed. Before then, I was always like, dude, shred, rock the world.
Life can feed you some shit sandwiches.
But then I said, you know what, I'm done. And they said, you're done. You're right. You are done. So I just went and spent time with Jordan.
Yep.
And then she raised her after 18, and then went back on the road with Jim Dandy. In 2017, Ricky Lee called me up and said, hey, we got some gigs. You want to go do some gigs? I was like, yeah, where? He said, Connecticut. I'm like, where I'm from? I mean, my whole moment
taking you back home.
Dude, this was like my dream. I was like, if it, my top of my bucket list was I wish I could go and play for my friends. And it was with the Outlaws and with Molly Hatchet and a bunch of my high school buddies that my best friends showed up at the gig. And it was just like, this is awesome.
You're home.
I was like, this is
full circle.
Check off.
Yeah.
2023. What's it hold for David Flexer? Are we
melting faces? It's time to melt faces, and with this, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I've been dating someone that's amazing. She's absolutely brilliant. She bought me guitars. I'm a Gibson
she's
guy.
a keeper.
She bought me a Paul Reed Smith and bought me a new Mesa Boogie amp, and I was like, man, okay, you're in. I was like, that's pretty awesome.
You passed the test.
Well,
so you're about
the
to start
is not throwing him off the balcony. Like Jordan's mom did.
So you're going to start slinging the axe again.
Yeah, and
it's time to get
a
out
few projects. Going in the studio with Jim, I was like, man, I've been pouring coffee at Starbucks for 10 years. I took a time off, and Jim, after I went and played the first 4 shows with Jim, he's like, well, we're doing a record, and you got to come in and finish it. And I'm like, wow, okay. So Black Oak, Arkansas had me go in studio, and which was in Sounds Unreal Studio, which is above Black Label, the Black Lodge.
Okay,
and that's with Sean's studio.
Okay,
and it was amazing. So went up there and nailed it. I was happy. I mean, some of my best playing, I think, and it was just had Lonnie Hammer on drums,
right,
and Billy played bass, and Ricky Lee, bless his heart, Ricky Lee passed away 2 years ago now.
Okay,
and from COVID. And
wow.
That guy, that guy was just genius beyond genius. I never met anybody that could write songs fully composed and just know it and just like he's like play, stop,
right.
Okay, play. And then Boo, who did Bruno Mars?
Oh, Mitchell?
Yeah, he engineered, he mastered it and mixed it down.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Royal Studios.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was amazing. And those songs were great. And was happy that some history,
Well, man, Dave, like we could do 9 other episodes.
Oh, and we will. And you haven't talked much during this one. I have kind of taken the lead, and I apologize.
Earlier on, I was going to say this. I actually sometimes feel bad if I'm not talking a whole lot.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just because I want to listen.
Sure.
I'm hearing all of this for the first time, meeting
there's
people like yourself for the first time.
More.
And it's so evident that the history here is insane.
And this is why we have said from the beginning that this thing is going to have longevity. We're going to be interviewing musicians for a very long time and very many times.
Yes.
You will be back.
I hadn't even get a chance to even tell you any of the good stories, which we'll do on the next Panorama.
We're going to do that.
You'll be back.
We're going to discuss Yngwie Malmsteen next trip.
Dude, Yngwie, when I met him the first time we'll talk about that. That was a wild experience.
I'm looking forward to it. My introduction to him was Trilogy. Yes.
Yeah. Mine was Rising Force at 15 and
great
and I was like, I love you. And he goes, fuck you.
Yeah.
He's like, I was like,
definitely got to talk about that.
Hey, so everybody, man, thank you guys for having me. And
man,
look out.
Yes, sir. So we'll do this again. We're not saying bye quite yet. First, we're gonna talk to the audience here for a minute. So we need to tell everybody where they can find us, Jeff. So
Let me get my shit together. All right. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook. We prefer YouTube. Please check us out there. Spotify, Stitcher, Apple. We are pretty much everywhere, and there's more coming, but we're having a great time with this.
Our video presentation is every Monday, 6 p.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube. And then if you engage with our audio-only platforms like Apple and Spotify, it's Monday morning. Early morning, you'll be ready for you when you wake up. As we mentioned in the intro, check out ShelbyRowProductions.com if you're interested in starting a free consultation with me on your podcast. Patreon, click our link and sign up for our tip jar, $1 a month, $12 a year. If you can spare that, it goes a long way in helping us. And that's it, Jeff. So look, thank you so much.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to have you here. We'll have you here again.
Yes. I love that.
And Jeff, thanks you. And
you bet, brother.
Y'all have a good day. Thanks for listening.
See you soon.
Spread the world, babies.
All right.